is. Wouldn't you be accepted if you were doing your best? So that's a question of conscience, right? If you're in extreme misery and your life is hollow and empty and you're bitter and resentful, you bring in your best because the covenant proclaims that if you did, you'd be accepted.
Yeah,
So,
clearly.
okay, so now the question.
Freetown headquarters, they're covering against charging car.
Go ahead with it.
NHN 10309-475.
Copy. Headquarters 37.
Go ahead.
I'm showing suspended, -1.
Just keep it up, and victory will be ours. Our victory is near.
Comes back on a Lincoln sedan, registered owner Sandra Rodriguez out of Reading, Mass. Negative on warrant showing possible suspension. Stand by, I'll run it separately.
Copy. I believe they're cleaners. I'm out with them now. They're in the bank.
Copy. I don't have a date of birth on the registered owner to run her separately.
Fear is an abstraction that is going to be the solution to many different problems. If I ask you to give me the maximum possible volume with the minimum possible area, I'm going to get a sphere. If I ask you what is the best thing to launch out of an old style cannon and to stack next to it, you're going to say a sphere. Then you have a question about, is that the same concept of a sphere? You know, if I take the three-dimensional sphere of unit quaternions, is that the same concept of a sphere? You are, in part, freely associating repeatedly between things that remind you of other things. Now,
No
just keep walking. So I stopped and I'm like, yes? He said, get over here. I have some questions I want to ask you. Because he just kind of recovered, right? And he figured out that here's a priest, he's a Catholic, he's a Christian. Actually, he asked me, are you a Christian? I said, uh-huh. And he was, he had gathered his wits, and he said, here's the thing I don't know. This same kind of thing, like in the midst of suffering, in the midst of pain, here's what I've never understood. He looked at me and he said, here's something I've never understood in my life. You say that, you're a Christian, you Christians say that us, the Jews, killed Jesus. And you blame us for killing him. And yet you also say that Jesus' death is what saves you. So you say that we're the villains because we killed Jesus, but actually, by his death, you have life. So how come we're not the heroes? And he was really mad. He was really ramped up. And I was like, okay, Jesus, help me right now. First I looked and said, well, first, as Christians, as Catholics, we don't actually believe that the Jews killed Jesus. In fact, our theology is that he died for what? He died for my sins. Be able to look at him and say, actually, I believe as a Christian that I killed Jesus. That it was my sins that killed Jesus. In fact, maybe a number of you probably have seen the movie The Passion. That was made by Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson's the director of the and he doesn't shoot.
Victory valid. Negative on
Hey.
God says your descendants will outnumber the stars. So he establishes the pattern of fatherhood that best propagates down the generations, which is the same as following the convention. Then he says you'll do this in a way that will make sure no one can stand before you, right? So that
Victory is near.
File Army MS4.
Alright.
Clear with a refusal.
Copy, clear with refusal.
File Army MS2.
USC line.
EMS2, we're on a cruiser.